Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Rudy doing our final bike ride on the 2021 Specialized Stump Jumper. After today's ride, I'm going to sell the bike or put the bike up for sale, but I figured we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a little ride along review. First off, we're going to start by getting to know the bike a little bit. Like I said before, that there is a Specialized Stump Jumper 2021. Let's start with some of the components. A lot of components are just like bikes in this price range. You're looking at a lot of house brand stuff. So we're talking the bar and the stem Specialized, the seat post, it's unbranded, but I suppose it's some kind of Specialized house brand. The seat, the grips, the wheels, the hubs, all Specialized branded stuff, right? So moving on to what drives the bike, the drivetrain, they decided to put a SRAM SX group set with the 10 to 50 tooth cassette, all SRAM components, shifter, derailleur, cassette, and cranks. For the front fork, they decided to put on a RockShox silver, 140 millimeters of travel. For the rear shock, they decided to go with the Fusion X Pro. What else is there on the bike that you need to know about? Oh, the rotors, the brakes, they're all Tektro stuff with resin pads. It took me forever to bed these brakes in and get them to even bite a little bit, but they actually are working pretty good. The Tektro SLs, something like that, brakes, they're not terrible, but I definitely could have stocked this bike with a little bit better brakes. But they did put a 203 rotor on the front and a 180 rotor in the back, so once they did get bedded in, they actually helped stop the bike quite a bit. Tires that they decided to put this thing on are actually pretty decent. I got along with the tires pretty good, and the durability of these tires have actually surprised me quite a bit. So again, Specialized house brand. They put a Butcher on the front and a Purgatory on the rear with their grid casing, which is just trail. They do come set up tubeless, which was really cool. The lever along with the dropper seat post is not marked. I suppose it's some kind of Specialized house brand, but the lever sucks. But the dropper post itself seems to be pretty reliable and snappy, and they did stock this S4 build with a 170 millimeter dropper seat post, so that's pretty decent. The flip chip that they put on this bike is not like the carbon version, because this is aluminum. So up by the shock, the rear shock, they do not have a flip chip there. They have a flip chip in the rear of the bike that you can flip over, that kind of steepens up the head tube a little bit and shortens the rear travel, which once I flipped those flip chips from the longer to the shorter setting, the bike really came back alive, and I really enjoyed the bike in that position, and that's pretty much how I've ridden it. Let's talk about setup. The setup of the bike was actually pretty difficult for me because that RockShox Silver 35 does not come with an O-ring to set your sag. So simple quick fix with a zip tie, not put on there very tightly, and I was able to set up the sag. The rear does have a sag indicator, or I'm sorry, O-ring. So what I ended up doing was 25 millimeters of sag in the front of the fork and 30 millimeters of sag in the rear shock. Now the shock, actually, once I got the sag set and the rebound, I pretty much run it completely open, especially today out here at Spider Mountain, doing my last run. Definitely leave that thing open to kind of eat up some of the chunky gnar stuff that we have here. But I have enough air in the fork that it still seems poppy enough, and the rebound up high enough where it comes back. So for the jumps and drops and things like that, I don't feel like I'm sinking in the travel and staying. The rear shock is very stiff. I weigh in, you know, at about 220 pounds right now, fully kitted up, and I really had to put a lot of air in that shock in order to get it to act and feel the way that I like. And by doing that, it did two things, right? So it makes it really stiff, but it also makes it really efficient at climbing. Really don't have to use that climb switch as much. This particular model for the shock only has a switch, either you're off or you're locked, or either you're on or you're locked out position, and you have rebound, and that's it. Really thought that Specialized could have stocked this bike with a little bit better components for the shocks and the fork, considering that they use so many different house brand parts for everything else. Really feel like you're paying a premium for this bike's namesake. I feel like you're paying another 450, 500 bucks just for the name. The tires, like I mentioned before, the tires to set up tire pressure, I've kind of played with it quite a bit. Whenever I'm running trails, I run at about 24 psi in the front and 25 psi in the rear. Today I'm at the bike park, so I'm running a little stiffer. I got 30 in the front and 27, oh no, sorry, 30 in the rear and 27 in the front, and just help with that little bit of rolling speed to help get over some of those jumps that I'm about to hit. So what else we got? Oh yeah, the tires. The tires are 2.3. If I didn't mention that before, the Butcher in the front and the Purgatory in the rear, which they really seem to hold up pretty good. The rims though, the rims are like 25 millimeter, and no, they're 27 millimeter wide. I really think a 29 or a 30 millimeter wide rim on this bike would open up some of the doors. Anyways, let's get to some trails. The riding characteristics, you know what? It took me a little while to figure out how to, the spot on the suspension that I like. But once I got it there, actually the more I rode the bike, it kind of grew on me. The fork actually performed pretty decently. The shock performed pretty decently, although stiff. So those braking bumps were really stiff, like bouncing your feet on the bottom of your pedals like bad. But you know, for jumping and stuff like that, it's really responsive. Some of the things that I jump on that bike actually surprised me on how poppy it is. Poppiness. Definitely, whenever I took that flip chip and I put it in the shorter setting, steepened the head tube angle, shortened up the rear end, before the bike felt really long. And like I'm sure that would help you go through some really chunky stuff. If that's what you like to do, that's great. But as far as the liveliness in the bike, it was so dead, and the back end felt so heavy. I did not like it. But since I put that flip chip in the other position, that helped a lot. Now the other thing that helped out a lot is that, so this is the S4 size, and it's kind of like their, I don't know, like their medium large, I guess, if you would say that. So they had a 50 mil stem on it, 30 mil rise bar, which is fine. Well, like a month after I flipped the chip, I went ahead and put a 40 mil stem on it, a 30 mil rise bar, and that also helped bring the bike alive. And maybe it was a little bit longer in the reach for me personally, but if you were to buy this bike and being able to let it be that versatile, to where if you knew a day that you were going to be like really steep, chunky downhill stuff, you know, you could really sit in the middle of the bike, but of course it's not going to be that lively. But if you're all around poppy, aggressive rider, definitely flipping the chip and putting a shorter, a 40 mil stem on there really kind of brought that cockpit together. Let's talk about the climbing. The climbing on this bike was actually surprisingly good. The seated position that it puts you in, the upright of the handlebars with that 30 mil rise, especially once I put that 40 mil stem on there, it was really easy to keep the cadence on the bike. Because of my weight, I think that helped with the climb as well, because I didn't have to use that flip chip on the really steep and techy climbs, or not the flip chip. I really didn't have to close the shock on the rear to do those climbs. Now on the steep fire roads and things like that, yeah man, lock that thing out and lock the fork out and just, you know, climb. Like, it climbs really nice. But on the techie stuff, like, you definitely want it open and your shock to be open. Me personally, I ran it from about 3 clicks open on the rebound for that rear shock, and I pretty much ride the front fork all the way open on the high speed adjustment, and like 2 clicks from close on the front fork. So that seemed to work pretty good for me. All in all, you know, the bike, once I got the suspension set up, the bike grew on me. I mean, for a short travel or mid travel 29er, like here in South Texas, the chunky, rocky, gnarly, not so steep descents, like it does great. On the poppy lippy jumps, you know, once I flipped that chip over, it really, you know, got some good pop to it. So I can't say that it's a bad bike. It's a really good bike for somebody to grow with. With these components, you have a lot of room to really have a really nice bike. I don't think that it's worth upping the travel on the fork at all. But definitely a little bit nicer shock, a little bit nicer fork, some better brakes, rims and tires. I mean, now you're talking about going up to the comp level, right? So I think for the money that you're getting, you could probably get a better bike with some better components. I think you're paying about $400 to $500 more for just having the Specialized name, and I really think that they could have spent that money on better components all around. Pros and cons. Let's talk about the pros of the bike first. The tires. I really got along good with these tires. The rocky terrain that we have here in South Texas, it actually handled that terrain really well, and I thought they were pretty predictable tires. Tire pressure was pretty easy to find. They were 2.3, which I would like to see like a 2.4 front and rear, but again, for the price, you know, they kind of shave some dollars off there. What else did I like? I like the flip chip option. That was dope because it totally it totally gave me a new perspective on the bike. What else did I like? Oof, duh. The golly, guys, you know, the fact that it came with bigger rotors, I guess that's a plus. But oh, the way that the bike performed in the shock, the rear suspension, how it performed, that was really good. I think with a better shock, you definitely could have felt a lot more suppleness off the top rather than being so stiff with that X Fusion shock. Just bad. But pedaling performance is really good. The thing climbed really good. The seating position is really good. Yeah, I mean, that's really about it, unfortunately. The bad, the rim width, the hub engagement, the dropper seat post lever is absolutely, the ergonomics of it is absolutely terrible. It's plastic, it feels flimsy. You have to get your thumb all the way in it. I jacked with it, tried to adjust it, it never got any better. The brakes took so long to bed to get any kind of bite. God, they were not good. The SRAM SX, you know, again, those are hit or miss. This one was a miss. I constantly have to jack with the adjustments on it. The grips on the handlebars are really hard. Didn't get along with them the best. The handlebars, the sweep, and just being the normal handlebars. I mean, again, guys, you know, we're talking about base model stuff. This bike is definitely one to build on, but for the money that you spend at $2,600 for that, I just feel like there could have been so much more better. I don't really have a whole lot of good things to say. You know, the platform, the suspension platform was good. That was it. And that was hard to see past with the really crappy fork. And I'm not really crappy fork. The fork was all right for being base model, but the really crappy rear shock and the tune that it had, just not good. Anyways, I think that pretty much concludes it, guys. I think we're gonna hit a few more runs and then bounce out of here. But please, if you guys like this video, like, subscribe, share, leave me some comments down below what bike I should try to do next. I think I'm going to do an enduro bike next, like something with some major travel, with like 160, 170, 29er, you know, something big is what I'm feeling. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace out from Spider Mountain. Go ride your bike.